Hey guys, I hope you are having a wonderful day. It is Anime Alternates here, and today this is part 4 of What If Naruto had ink release, so I hope you guys enjoy. And without further ado, roll the intro. Naruto and Shino arrived at the Kurama clan compound fairly quickly. They traveled through the trees and stopped a little under a mile away from the compound. They had then used the body flicker to travel the rest of the way. Their max distance for the body flicker was a little under a mile, so they had to get within a 1 mile range of the compound to successfully use the body flicker jutsu. Naruto cast a quick look at Shino before striding up to the gate and pushing it open. The guard standing at the gate was about to stop them, but when he saw it was Naruto and Shino, he stopped. Naruto and Shino regularly visited Yakumo at the compound. Naruto took a step forward, and then suddenly but slowly closed his left eye. He opened it again and turned to Shino. "She's doing it again," Naruto said. Shino sighed before speaking. "Come on, let's go," he said, and they sped up towards the main house in the compound. 15 minutes later, they opened the door to the topmost room in the main building. The room took up the entire top floor of the building, and most of it was set up as a painting studio, with a plain bed and a nightstand in the corner. In the center of the room, a girl with long dark hair was painting on a rather large easel. The picture, however, was a rather gruesome image of an assassination. There was an Anbu Black Ops lunging forward, his tanto in motion, running across the man's throat. The painting was painted in a way that made it look like Anbu was in one position, but there were 3 after images trailing behind him, showing how he killed the person. The girl who was painting the picture was completely oblivious to Naruto and Shino's position right behind her, until Shino coughed slightly. The girl jumped and accidentally slashing the paintbrush she'd been carefully painting with all over the painting, ruining it. "You're doing it again, Yakumo," Shino said. "You said I'd gotten better." Yakumo lowered her head and stared at the floor. "I know. I'm sorry. I finished the painting request you sent me earlier," she said, and gestured with her head to an easel with a painting of a meadow with purple and golden flowers carpeting it. This was the scene from the poem that Naruto and Shino had sent her earlier that day. "And I had some extra time. I was about to paint something else, but as soon as my brush touched the canvas, I started painting this." Shino sighed and started asking her questions about what she felt while she was painting. This was standard procedure between them after Yakumo had painted a darker painting. Naruto, however, just sauntered between the rows of easels that held various different paintings. He stopped at one that was covered by a white cloth and reached out to flip the cloth up. He vaguely heard Yakumo telling him not to, but it was already too late. The painting on this one was interesting because most of Yakumo's paintings' time frames were between dawn to dusk. This one, however, was at midnight. The moon was also a lot brighter than it feasibly should be. The subject of the painting was Naruto, who was sitting on a large oak tree in a clearing. In the moonlight, Naruto's vermilion red hair was clearly visible as it hung around his face. He was painting something, but the thing he was painting in the painting was not visible. After a couple seconds, Naruto turned back to Yakumo, who turned her gaze back towards the floor while blushing. Naruto, while having no idea what was happening, simply said, "It looks nice," before moving on to other paintings. Shino, ever the tactician, was quietly watching the proceedings and decided not to say anything. Naruto can't feel most emotions, and tries to regain them, while Yakumo feels emotions greater than most people, and tries to suppress them, Shino thought. If I play my cards right, then they can both help each other. As an added bonus, Yakumo already likes Naruto, so that makes my work a lot easier. All I need to do is get Naruto to be able to recognize the feelings of attraction, and he can figure out the rest from there. Anko's perspective. Anko followed Naruto and Shino all the way to the Kurama clan compound. She stayed silent and a little ways away from the She stayed silent and a little ways away from them so that they wouldn't notice. When they arrived at the main gates and went through, Anko waited for a few minutes before going through the gates herself. Man, this is depressing, Anko thought as she strolled towards the main building in the compound. Yakumo was the sole survivor of the Kurama clan. But there were a few guards and maids around the compound, which consisted of one main house and two smaller houses for the guards and the maids. When she arrived at the top floor, she cracked the door open slightly and watched what was happening inside. She smiled as she saw the painting of Naruto. Great, now I have a means to tease and blackmail them, Anko thought, while silently laughing. She pulled away from the door and caught sight of a black and white bird that might have been mistaken for a magpie, but something didn't seem right. Please come in, Anko-sensei, a voice said from inside the room. And Anko's perspective. Naruto closed his left eye again, and connected his sight to one of the birds he'd created when he left. To one of the birds he created, when he felt someone following them. While Anko had been following Naruto and Shino, she had been followed by one of Naruto's birds. The door opened, and Anko stepped in. Well, you all seem positively crazily insane. Nutcases, Anko said, stopping for dramatic effect. But you know what they say, the best people are crazy. It is my joy, and my comfort, I guess you could say, she said before adopting a thinking pose before going back to her normal pose, to welcome you all to hell. 1 month later. Team 11, or Team Insane, as most people refer to them as, finally came in sight of the Konoha gates. They just finished another mission chain, as they called it. A mission chain was basically just doing missions back to back to back. It was grueling work, and most of the time the missions they took were C-rank missions, which normally meant either traveling a distance away to deliver a scroll, doing background checks, or wiping out bandit camps. The high score for most C-rank missions chained together was 7, and it took them 23 days to complete. 23 days, 13 hours, and 12 minutes. But the truly difficult thing about these mission chains was that when they got back to the Leaf, they had to go and train for the rest of the day. Naruto and the others tried to slink away, but before they could, Anko called out to them. Don't forget to meet at Training Ground 44 in 1 hour for training today, Anko said sadistically before leaving. Nobody objected because if they did, Anko would likely double the intensity of their training. Time skip. 1.5 hours. Every Genin member on Team 11 was panting. Anko's version of training after a mission chain was called hunting. She would try and hunt them, and they would have to escape her. She wasn't scared to use extreme force if necessary, seeing as how she broke Shino's collarbone one time. She also slightly fractured Yakumo's skull and broke Naruto's arms in 3 places on each arm. All of their wounds healed just fine, and it was like they were never injured in the first place, but it was still incredibly painful to have. Though this did yield some good results, as they now had insanely good reflexes and could push themselves even when exhausted. The hairs on Naruto's neck rose, and he quickly tackled Yakumo and Shino off the tree branch they were standing on. A barrage of kunai and shuriken flew above them as they were falling. Then, Anko appeared in the air behind them, with her signature predatory grin. Naruto glanced over his shoulder, while holding the ram seal, and returned a grin that made him seem insane. Team 11's insane faces, as they were called, were one of the tools that Anko had taught them. While they did make them look cool, in Anko's opinion, they also served to unnerve their opponents, which helped in making their opponents make a mistake to kill them quickly. In a second, and without a hint of smoke, the Genin members of Team 11 were replaced with 3 glass jars with paper bombs in each of them. Anko had time to say one word, "Damn," before they exploded, sending glass shrapnel in all directions. Team 11 hit the ground about a half a mile away. They quickly got up and were about to continue moving, but the ribbons that were tied around their wrists unfastened. They collectively sighed. That meant that the hunt was over. All three of them grabbed the ribbons and stuffed them in their pockets for the next time they had a hunting training session. They quickly got up and were about to move, but then Anko appeared in front of them in a swirl of leaves. I see you guys are still trying to evade me. Not gonna work. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, you all did a good job today. Yakumo, you need to work on your taijutsu. Shino, you also need to work on your taijutsu, or get a short-range weapon like a tanto or a katana. Naruto, you need to work on getting out of genjutsu. I almost caught you in one because of that, and you know what would have happened, right? She said, implying that she would have probably fractured multiple of Naruto's bones. Even though Naruto couldn't very well sense emotions, he slightly shivered. Each of them nodded and went home for the day. Time skip. The next day. Hokage's office. Okay, Team 11, I have a mission for you. Team 7 went on their first C-rank mission and ran into some troubles. I need you to go and assist them. They all nodded, and before they could leave, Anko snapped her fingers twice. Internally, all the members of Team 11 sighed, but they still complied. They all flashed their insane look before disappearing in their own versions of the bloody flicker. Anko disappeared in a burst of fireworks. Yakumo faded away like a genjutsu. Shino burst into a swarm of bugs, and Naruto faded away like the Cheshire Cat. Hiruzen sighed and pulled out his pipe. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing in making Anko their sensei, he said tiredly. Now, they're almost as crazy as she is. Very talented, but, crazy. Silently, all of the Anbu guarding the Hokage's office nodded. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys next time.